You really want to know something? When I first started my filmmaking career and when I decided that I wanted to be a full-time filmmaker, I wanted to be the best filmmaker that I can possibly be. No one really ever warned me or even told me about the anxieties that were going to come. No one told me how to deal with these anxieties and when they're going to come and what I can do to conquer these anxieties in filmmaking. And being a videographer, there is a lot of different anxieties, insecurities, doubts, fears that are going to come. But since you're asking me, I want to tell you how I personally dealt with these anxieties and how I overcame them. So the first thing for me, I would say, really comes in when you're working on docs, any style documentaries. That's when I feel like a lot of the anxiety comes because it's a lot when it comes to making a documentary. There's a lot that goes into pre-production. There's a lot that goes into post-production. There's a lot that comes into with your subject, whoever you're filming, trying to get scheduling all right. It's a lot, and a lot of anxiety can come. And as filmmakers, when we are creating our docs, we want to make the best docs possible. We want to truly captivate the story and immerse the viewer into the story. But with that comes many great challenges. And I feel like for me, what helps me during my times of anxiety whenever I'm filming for docs is to really just, when it comes to post-production or even pre-production, when I'm stressing out about post-production work, maybe I didn't have a certain clip or maybe a certain angle that I was really looking forward to, that I really planned, just didn't come out the way that I thought it would come out. And in the moment when I was filming, I just missed it. I just didn't catch it. I didn't catch the little detail that just threw the whole footage off. When it comes to those stressful times in post-production, I find it best, instead of me just giving up, is to just take a breather, step back away from the project for a little while, maybe a week, maybe 2 weeks, just to get myself back together. Because if I keep trying to work on the project and I'm just running into roadblock after roadblock, stress after stress, I'm just gonna get so overwhelmed to where I'm just gonna wanna give up on the film. And oftentimes with these documentaries, we spend so much time on trying to perfect it. We spend so much time on planning it that it just doesn't make sense to just give up. So what works for me is to take a breather, take a step away from the film, go out there, maybe work on something else for a little bit, and then come back to it. Maybe go out there and schedule a different day if possible to go add some more shots or get some better shots or whatever it is. But taking that breather, taking that step away from the film in that moment is the best decision that I could possibly make whenever I'm under those trials and those doubts. When filming for a doc, it is very easy to just push it off. It's very easy to just procrastinate. So I feel like setting a proper deadline to be able to get it finished and accomplished is something that you should do, but you should also give yourself grace. You're gonna need to give yourself that grace period so you just don't lose your mind as well. And in doing that, I'm telling you, your doc is gonna come out so good, even if you have a couple of shots that you missed or a couple of shots that you forgot to get or a couple of shots that on paper they looked right, but in post-production it just didn't look right, didn't make sense. For me, I would say another form of anxiety that often likes to creep up is when it's time to show your film to other people, when you're trying to get feedback. And I find for me, sometimes even positive feedback gives me the worst anxiety. And I know it may not make sense, but sometimes when you spent months and hours and weeks and days, spent so much time working on this film, and you go to ask someone who you truly trust for their opinion, and they give you their feedback. Sometimes they'll give you a positive feedback, but it's sometimes in that positive feedback that brings me down. And what I mean is, maybe they'll tell you the film is good, but hey, you should go back and change this B-roll. Or in your mind, you spent hours, time, possibly money on this film, and to you it's perfect. But even the positive feedback can let you down. Yeah, the film is great, but this B-roll shot right here is not it. Cut that out. Yeah, this film is great, but that sky right there outside is completely blown out. Get rid of that. Sometimes even the positive feedback that can help you is the most discouraging feedback rather than the negative feedback when someone says this film is not good. I just feel like we just take so much pride as filmmakers in our work, and we have such high expectations to where when we open ourselves up to criticism, that's when it hurts. We just want everyone to like our films, and we just want our films to be seen by everybody, as much people as we possibly can. And all we want is the positive feedback. And sometimes when we just don't get that, because we're not always going to get that. And that's what you have to learn to just suck it up. Some people are going to have positive feedback. Some people are going to have negative feedback. So it's dealing with that feedback, whether positive or negative, that's gonna really make or break you, how you deal with it. So you're asking me what's the most important lesson that I learned when creating films? Is that what you're asking me? I would want to say that you need to accept that your films are not going to be 100% perfect, especially when it comes to shooting docs. You can spend hours, weeks, sometimes even months on pre-production planning, but for me, it always feels like every time when it's time to get out there and actually film and you're going through the shot list, things just don't come out as they planned. There might be certain shots that on paper it made sense in our head. The biggest thing that I learned was accepting those roadblocks when they happen and just moving around them. You have to think fast, improvise, and try to fill in if need to be. Sometimes you just don't have to fill in. Sometimes you can just remove that shot and it's still going to flow correctly with the next scene. Just because you have to remove one scene doesn't mean you always have to fill in that gap. Sometimes that gap is needed. Sometimes you just overplanned. And it's okay. We all make those mistakes. And it's in the end, when you have the final result, when you look back at it and like, yeah, that made sense to remove that. Or yeah, that made sense to add that. So just mentally preparing yourself. Doesn't matter how many months, how long it takes you for pre-production planning, scheduling, gathering your actors together, whatever it may be. It's never going to be 100%. Accepting that, moving on from that, and just putting the film out there. Get your film out there. Sometimes it's not necessary to spend a year, 2 years on creating a film. Sometimes all you maybe need is just 2 to 3 months to create your film. The more you procrastinate on it, the more you push it to the side, the less thrive, the less hunger you're gonna have for even finishing this job. And that's why I feel like for me, understanding that it's never gonna go according to plan. That's the best part about filmmaking. It's expecting the unexpected. Hope that I can help you. I hope that I inspired you. I hope that I somehow motivated you to get out there and create some beautiful films. Get out there and stay creative. Get out there and finish that doc that you started 3 months ago. If you enjoyed today's video, please leave a like, comment, and subscribe. Without further ado, I'm gonna catch you guys in the next video. Nos vemos pronto.